documentation simply because we have facilities such as the permanent file that we discussed earlier. Now, the final substantive section in MKinsight is then recommendation tracking. And within recommendation tracking, this is where you can search across all audit work to find, for example, perhaps just high priority recommendations. So in this case, we can see we have 11. Now, when we are looking at these, we could be using different parts of the audit universe, so we could also be using multitude of different filters at the same time to drill down into more detail to pull out the information that we are looking for. MKinsight will always provide you with a list of recommendations that meet your search criteria. Now from here you can see MKinsight provides a lot of different information about each recommendation. You can also open up these items by double clicking these recommendations, subject to having the permission to do so. You can also from this screen simply right click and determine which columns that you would like to have visible. Perhaps I'm not really looking to having these items visible on the screen today, or maybe the origin, you'll see items moving in the background, as well as the ability to perhaps group by a particular viewpoint. Maybe we're looking at the status of these high priority recommendations for entity XXX. Now again, you can always export all information in MKinsight directly to Excel. Now Excel is where reporting in MKinsight began in the very early versions of MKinsight. And however, the later versions introduced a range of different types of reports, including, for example, things such as aging analysis reports, overdue analysis reports, and so on. And to give you an example of a report, if we were to select an aging analysis report, and we were to give this a name, let's say an aging report, we then choose a date at any point in time, so you could go back as far as you like, perhaps to September 2009 on the 17th. What was the status and the state of play at that particular point in time? Now, MKinsight will then pull up to you on the screen. It will allow you to see that you have an interactive report whereby we can select the numbers that are appearing on the screen, and those are presented immediately before. Now, as a small aside, I'm using my UK machine here for our presentation and demonstration today. Of course, with MKinsight will always adopt localized date formats that you will be familiar on a day-to-day basis. Now, I can also group this information into a number of different ways, and of course, as I said, you've got different reports at your disposal. So we may well be looking to generate a report of perhaps graphical analysis of overdue recommendations, whereby we click here and we generate the report, and from within here we can decide to say, okay, based on the implementation date, let's say that the target or the implementation date in the system, we select the finding name, the description, we perhaps want the recommendation, the status, the priority. We may want to know the name of the audit file. We may also want the work program name, and perhaps we want to understand if the recommendation came from the control or the test level. And all this is doing is allowing you to take a report and use it in many different ways. So this report will now be created again in an Excel format, which you will see here has pie charts and line charts in terms of the information that's being pulled forward. And all of this information is interactive.